Hello, folks. This is now the third part of the set of videos working on exercise number 4. If you recall, at the end of the last video, I had added a quantity column with a quantity drop down for each product. As well, we had converted the add button. It started out as an add link, but now it's an add button. As well, we had put quantity into the database. So it looks like we have completed steps number 2 and 3. But in fact, we have a couple things left to do. We've added the column for the quantity and changed things to a button, but we didn't fix up the add script to take in that information. So let's go and do that now. Currently, the way the add script is set up is we're getting the product ID from the get array. That's because originally, just to show you an example, the link looked like this: ID equals, and it had an ID number. We've modified that so it now uses a hidden field. So if we go in and look at that, you'll now see that the action is add.php. We're sending it in as a post. We're sending in the quantity. And we're sending in the hidden ID, both of which are part of the post array. So instead of picking up the product ID from the get array, we have to pick it up from the post array. We also have to pick up the quantity. So we have to get the quantity from the post array. So the quantity. As well, since we now have a quantity, we have to make sure we insert that into the cart whenever we insert the new product. So right here, I'm going to add quantity, and I'm going to add a question mark here because now when somebody clicks on an add button, we're going to be inserting 3 pieces of information: the product ID that we get from the post, the cart ID, which we get randomly or from the session, and the quantity, which we get from the post array. Therefore, we are binding a new parameter, so I'm going to add my I there, and I'm going to add the QTY. So now, whenever I add a new product, that's going to add the quantity into the database. Now, you'll notice if you look at the instructions, it says in number 11 and 12, use templates and use functions where possible. You're going to notice that we are going to be quite often using, or we're going to quite often have the need to produce or give feedback to the user. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to set up a generic template. So I'm going to go into templates, I'm going to right click, new, and I'm just going to make a new HTML file, and I'm going to call it generic. I'm going to use this template to do all of my sort of generic things. If there's an error or if I want to give the user any sort of feedback. So first thing I'll do here is I'll just take out this comment. As a title, I'll put in a Smarty variable. So I'll just call this title. T-I-T-L-E. Whoops. T-I-T-L-E. T-I-T-L-E. I can do this. Okay. And why don't we take out all of the body here and let's throw in a headline. And I'll make that I don't know why my cap locks. Okay. Headline. And I'll close the H1. Then I'll make a paragraph, and in there I'll put the message, and I'll close the paragraph. Now, this generic template is going to be used all over our site, so let's allow the person at any time to go back to the home page, which is index.html. It's index.php. That way, no matter where they are, they can get back to the beginning and they can purchase more products. As well, sometimes we want to let them check out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a smarty if, and I'm going to make a variable here called checkout flag, and I'm going to check if that's equal to true. Now, if if that's equal to true, I'm going to allow the person to check out. So they'll go to checkout.php. And we'll then close that, and we'll make the link text be checkout. And I'll close the A, and I'll close the if. So the idea here is we have a generic page called generic.html where we can make a title, we can make a headline, we can make a message, and we can decide whether or not we want the checkout link to appear. For example, if we're giving them an error, we might not want them to check out. But if, for example, they just successfully added a product to their cart, being able to check out is a valid option. So now we have the template ready to go. Let's make a function that will use this template. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to sources, and I'm going to make a new PHP file. I'm going to name it generic functions. Generic functions. And in there, I'm going to start with including Smarty. So to make my life easy, I'm just going to copy this line from the index page, and we're going to erase our comments, and we're going to put in that. Now, I'm going to make a couple of functions here. The first function I'm going to make is called get Smarty object. And this is a nice simple function because if you look at index, anytime I need to do Smarty, I have to remember to do these 3 lines. So I'm going to turn that into a function so that I don't have to repeat those 3 lines over and over again. So I can just press tab here, and I can say return $MySmarty. So as we discussed in class, I now have a way of picking this up quickly. So how could I use that? Well, in one place I can use it is on the index page. So let's remove this require and simply say require once generic functions .php, and now instead of all of these lines I can just say MySmarty equals get Smarty object, and that cleans it up a little tiny bit. But I want to go back to add, and I want to show you that we still have a little bit of a mess here, right? We have some HTML, some PHP. So let's go back to our generic functions and make another one. This function will be called called display generic template. And in order to display the generic template, you have to give a title, a headline, a message, and a checkout flag. Because remember, we don't always want a checkout link. So now, how are we going to do this? Well, first, I'll say my Smarty. How do I get Smarty? Well, instead of me doing all 3 steps myself, I can just simply say get Smarty object. Now, if we look at our generic template, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items that need to be filled in. So that means I'm going to need 4 assigns. So we have my Smarty assign. I'm going to assign title to $title. So the title that you give the function will simply be set off to the generic template. My Smarty arrow assign. The next one is headline, and we're going to put the headline there. And we're going to put the headline there. Headline. Whoops. We're having a little crash here. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay. So, something went a little haywire there. So we're going to say headline. We also have my Smarty arrow assign. We're going to assign the message. Whoops, we need quotes. Comma, $ message. And then finally, my Smarty arrow assign checkout flag. We're going to assign that to the $checkout flag. And finally, when we're done, we're going to tell my Smarty to do what? To display the template. The template we're going to use is called generic.html. And now we have a nice little function that we can use whenever we want to spit out some generic stuff. So let's try this function out. Let's go to add. We're going to remove this require, and we're now going to require what? We're going to require once generic underscore functions dot php. So now, if you look, once we get to this point in the code, we had a successful insert. So instead of doing all of this stuff, I'll simply say display generic template. What title should we use? Let's use product added. What headline should we use? Let's use the same thing. Product added. And for the message, we'll just say adding $name, because $name is the name of the product, adding dollar name to your cart. Now, do we want to show them the checkout flag? I'd say true. How come? Well, because they did successfully add something to their cart, therefore their cart must have something in it. I no longer need this, and I no longer need this. So the code is nice and clear. Display generic template. The title will be product added, the headline will be product added, and the text will be added product name to your cart. So let's give it a whirl. So I'm going to run it. So now, if I click on 3 of these and click add, my computer appears to be slow today. There we go. We have a nice little screen. I can go home. I can add something else. I can add it. And I'm getting this really nice little screen, and I can check out, of course, but our checkout hasn't been updated yet. So, just to recap, in this video, I finished up parts 2 and 3, and I started to look at making templates and functions where possible. So, go through the video slowly, take your time, ask questions, take it step by step, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Talk to you later. Bye.